Hello, and welcome to The Extended Branch, a podcast aimed at demystifying the fraternal and business aspects of Freemasonry. Conversation will be kept open, so to avoid any spoilers for those who are possible petitioners and also to keep with our obligations. Any thoughts or opinions shared by the participants and guests of The Extended Branch are of their own. And while open dialogue is our goal, we acknowledge they do not represent any official statements or positions made by any grand jurisdiction. I am Andrew Rizzatello, Worshipful brother in New Jersey. My co-host to, I don't know, I guess this is considered the front of me, is Brother Billy Bilbo.
Hi, how are you? Good night, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
And to my left is Brother Kevin Cotter.
How you doing, everybody?
And our guest this evening is Worshipful Brother Peter de Lucia.
Hello, everyone.
And with that, actually, before I hand the reins off to Brother Bilbo, since he's the Inquisitor tonight, I just want to point out the fact one of the big misconceptions about Freemasonry is that you have to be wealthy and powerful to even be a member. Yeah, exactly. So if you can see, we're all dressed down. Like, I mean, Kevin's the most dressed up out of all of us in a button-up shirt.
Very fancy.
So I think, yeah.
Several buttons with a collar.
It's got a button-up shirt.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's a little bit dressier than I am. Jeans and a t-shirt kind of thing. So it just goes to show that we come from all walks of life. There is no specific requirement. As long as you could pay the dues, you can, there's nothing stopping you, honestly. You don't have to be Bill Gates with billions of dollars to come and join. So with that, I'll hand over the reins to Brother Bilbo so we can get this underway.
Thank you, Andrew. Gentlemen, again, good evening. How are you? I'm going to start off a little bit lighter. I'm going to start off with a bit of a game. I figure we'll get into a little bit of Masonic facts and do it in a game style. So the game that I have for us tonight is Who's That Mason? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to present clues to you.
Now we're talking.
Right? Right.
All right.
So I'm going to present clues to you, and these are famous people, absolutely famous people. You all know who they are. And I'm going to give you clues, and I'll give you 4 clues, and we'll see if you guys can get it by the 4th clue. I'm not going to assign points. I don't really care who wins. I just want to see if you guys can get my clues.
Do we have buzzers? What are our buzzers?
Well, I'll give you the clue, and then whoever you guys just go.
It makes the most annoying
it's not,
sound.
Yes, that's exactly what it's going to
be. All right. So
let's get wrong answer.
You guys ready? I'm going to start with the first one.
Oh, God.
All right.
So this Mason was the first of his famous profession with a doctorate.
Wait, say that again?
This Mason was the first of his famous profession with a doctorate.
Oh, man, I knew there was going to be a test.
I know. Sorry, Kevin, I forgot you just took a test yesterday.
Ben Franklin?
No, Pete.
Yeah.
There's a certain brother in Grand Lodge right now that's cringing because all he does is history, and he's probably wanting to slap us.
Got it immediately. Yep. Sorry about the snap, guys.
Yes, I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to
Kevin
go
with the save?
George Washington.
Nope.
Absolutely not, Alex.
All right.
No,
bing, circle gets the square.
All right, what's the next clue?
All right, so his first name is Edwin.
Edwin. You sure we know these Masons?
Right. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try this.
All right, Kev. What?
Is it Buzz Aldrin?
You got it!
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
Didn't he just
Now
celebrate his birthday
somewhere.
also?
91st birthday.
91.
He just celebrated
God
on
bless
the
the man.
22nd,
Yes.
I believe. I'll have to double check that, but I'm not sure. No, the 20th. I'm sorry, I have his birthday right here, which is January 20th, 1930.
Nice.
Also from New Jersey.
Yes,
Yes.
I was going to say that. He actually, he is from Glen Ridge, New Jersey. He attended Montclair High School until 1946. And then after that, he went to West Point in 1951, and he finished off there, third in his class with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. He was the first astronaut doctor, and he earned a Science in Astronautics from Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1963. He actually did 3 spacewalks, and my next clue I actually kind of wanted to get to because I thought it was kind of funny, was that during a spacewalk for the Gemini 12 mission that he was actually captain of, he took the first space selfie
Yes.
in space. I
yes.
thought that was so cool.
I believe he also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, he established the first lunar lodge.
That I'm not sure. I didn't see that
I
in
don't
there.
know.
But,
He was part of the process.
I
Yes.
absolutely believe he was. Yes, I do remember.
Which I believe currently to join you have to send membership to Texas because that's
Tranquility is the name?
Yes.
I think so.
Tranquility
Yes.
Lodge, yeah.
All right, so on the Masonic side, before we move on to the next guy, sorry to interrupt, I'm sorry. He was initiated and passed in Oak Park Lodge number 864 in Montgomery, Alabama in February and April of 1955, and he was raised at Lawrence North Greenleaf Lodge number 169 in Denver, Colorado in 1956. He wasn't raised in the same lodge because he was, of course, in the military, and he had to move where they sent him, so he had to go where he needed to go.
yes, it is Tranquility Lodge number 2000, and it's under the jurisdiction of the Grand Lodge of Texas.
Oh, very cool, very
Fantastic.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he spent time in Houston, obviously, as an astronaut, so that
yes.
makes a lot of sense.
Interesting enough, here in New Jersey, if you don't know, if you're new to Masonry, if you're petitioning, whatever, there's a lot of separate groups that you have to first become a Mason for in order to join. And one of them are the Shriners, very popular group. You see them online, see them everywhere. They do a lot for their hospitals for children.
Yep.
It's funny though. A lot of people don't know the Shriners.
I know,
and
and
Masons.
that's why we're bringing this forward.
Yeah.
And yes, like Peter said, you have to be a Master Mason in order to even sign up to become a Shriner, which actually I'm in the process of doing.
Hey.
And one of the two, as they call them, shrines in New Jersey is Crescent Shrine out in Haddonfield.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Guess who was made a Shriner there?
Who? Oh, Buzz Aldrin.
They have a picture. They have a picture in their I guess you'd say vestibule of Brother Aldrin. And because of, like you said, how he had to move around for the military and things like that, he wanted to become a Shriner, and he got
That's
it.
very cool. So
It was I believe what's the term? I can't think of the term when you're under the auspices of one jurisdiction, but another jurisdiction confers a degree on you. What is that like? I can't.
Dispensation.
No, not
they get-
dispensation. It's a whatever. I'm
remember the term.
blanking on the term. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But yes, he was made a Shriner here in New Jersey. So just another little quick.
Right.
Can we review
cool.
the scores?
So far, Kevin has
I thought you
one.
weren't keeping score.
Okay.
Andrew has
I wasn't.
negative one. And Pete's got
I was keeping score
Zero.
for somebody else.
All right, you guys ready for the next one? The next one's a good one. This one took me off guard a little bit.
Oh, that's great.
All right, you ready for the first clue?
Okay.
Shoot.
This Mason, this famous Mason, was born in Budapest to a Jewish family.
Oh, man.
He was one of 7 children.
Born in Budapest to a Jewish family.
Yep.
One
Harry
of 7.
Houdini.
Nailed it. Right off the
Wow.
bat.
Because his name.
Wow.
Thank you. The one of the two signers of my petition is a huge fan
Oh,
of
yes, he is.
Brother
yeah.
Houdini.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
And so I have a little bit of an unfair advantage in that one.
Yeah.
All right, so here's some fun facts about him. His father was a rabbi of Zion Reform Jewish congregation.
Wow.
He didn't arrive in the U.S. He was born in Budapest, and he didn't arrive in the U.S. until 1878. When he did arrive to the U.S., he changed his name. His original name is Eric Wise, E-R-I-K-W-E-I-S-Z. When they arrived, he changed it to E-H-R-I-C-H, Weiss, W-E-I-S-S, the common spelling. That
Oh,
we
okay.
know.
Gotcha.
And then he didn't take...
Eric Weiss.
Weiss, yeah,
Yes.
basically. He lived in Appleton, Wisconsin. That's where his father was a pastor. In 1887, he moved to New York City. He made his first public debut as a little kid as Eric the Prince of Air as a trapeze artist. And then when he finally took the name Harry Houdini around 1890, after becoming a professional magician, he pretty much did card tricks. Like, it's not what you think of Harry Houdini. Right. And some of the professionals of the time were like, he's good at them, but he's not a master. Like, he was never really good at regular magic, but he was great at the escape tricks and specifically handcuffs. He was absolutely known. When he went on his tour in Europe, he was 100% known for his escape from handcuffs, so much so that he sued a constable in Europe. I'm sorry, I didn't write down the name of the town, and won because the guy had said that he had gotten out of the handcuffs through bribery, and he stood in front of the crowd and just.
Yeah, that was a big thing with Harry. Is he would call a lot of things humbug.
Yes.
He was against a lot of the people who would basically sham you out of money for like being mystics and psychics and things like that. And pardon the language, but that's where Penn and Teller got their show Bullshit from.
Yeah, right.
They're huge fans of Harry Houdini and the fact of showing either obvious lies or the other side of the story. Which, if you're a con artist, that's you're trying to just do exactly that, con people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
All right, so 1-1-0. We can have a win or a tie. Let's see. All right, you guys ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Houdini, his Masonic stats. Yep. He was initiated in July 1923, July 17th, 1923, passed July 31st, 1923, and raised August 21st, 1923 in St. Cecilia Lodge, number 568 in New York, New York, which is still an active lodge today.
Good for them.
So he
Good
did
for
his,
them.
he did his, the exam in a month.
Yeah, he did everything. Well, he was also during the time when he was raised, he was actually going back and forth to Europe, finishing up the last leg of his European tour. So he was constantly traveling overseas.
Which is interesting because I don't know how recent the lodge was formed, but there's a lodge in the Grand Lodge of England that is specific for entertainers. And
just like there's one in New York.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I know I'm sorry, I'm just a wealth of unknowledge tonight. There's from Yes. Name the
Anderson, Wakeman.
Wakeman, that's who it is. He is a brother from that lodge.
John
in
Wakeman?
Europe. I don't know. I'm horrible.
His last name.
I apologize now. Just put a giant, error over my head.
A question mark instead of an exclamation.
It's not the Riddler. It's you ever heard of the answer? Well, I'm his opposite.
The opposite.
Are you guys ready for the last one?
But there is a lodge in New York that
It's
has
also actor based.
Yep.
Nice.
And they meet in the Grand Lodge in New York.
That's
Nice.
very cool. All right, last one. This famous Mason was born in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
That's it.
That's all we got.
That's all you
the
got.
First clue. First
That's
clue.
it.
This famous Mason was born in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Correct.
Where were you born?
Yeah. I ain't famous. Are you kidding me?
I appreciate that. I told him.
I was born in Brooklyn. I wasn't born in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
All right.
Go on.
What's the next clue?
So during the Korean War, he was sent to West Germany as a mess sergeant.
No, it's not my dad. Wait, during the Korean War, he was sent to West Germany as a mess sergeant, and he was born in Atlantic City.
And when he I'll give you this. When he ended the army, he finished as a staff sergeant.
Okay.
Still on
Well,
campus.
mess and staff are
See.
Mess isn't a rank.
Yeah.
You could be any
He was
sergeant.
just a sergeant that
Yeah.
worked in the mess hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, another clue.
He did not graduate high school until 1993.
Wow.
He was in the Korean War.
Yes, and
but
graduated
did
high
not
school in
graduate
93.
high school until 1993.
I am completely stumped.
I want to hang out with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear
you
his
know what?
stories about
I would too.
everything that happened
I honestly would too.
from the Korean War to 1993.
Wow.
All right, what's the clue that's going to give his name away?
Yeah, I know, right?
He named his restaurant chain after his daughter.
Oh, Dave Thomas.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
I didn't know now it's all coming together. I didn't realize that he went to Germany.
He did. He volunteered for the Korean War in 1950. He actually was working full time. He had dropped out of high school in 1946, and he was working at a restaurant called the Hobby House. I'm sorry.
So is that where he came up with the idea for square burgers?
No, he actually came up with the idea for square burgers when he was working with the KFC people when he was working for Dave Thomas on opening Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips, and he saw that the fried fish actually fit better on the bun, so he thought a square burger
On a round bun
would be
better.
better, and that's where he got that idea.
All right, then.
Yep, he actually worked for.
It's great for cocktail parties.
He worked for Colonel Sanders.
Did you know?
He worked for
Colonel Sanders,
Yep,
another
for
brother.
a very long time. Yeah, another brother. That's right.
Also
and
stars in
and
movies,
he
too.
and the Colonel are actually, well, before they died, were actually honorary Kentucky colonels. Legit.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
absolute. So he has lots of honorifics. I don't know the titles of all of them to pronounce them correctly. It's
You want me to look at it?
33rd degree. Yeah, I can't. You know what? I'll give it to Andrew to look at them, and then
Let's see here.
all right. So it starts at number 9.
Number 9. All right. He's affiliated with Miami, Florida Scottish Rite Bodies on December 18th, 1991. Was invested with the rank and decoration of Knight Commander Court of Honor on November 13th, 1993 in Jacksonville. Coronated as Inspector General Honorary Southern Jurisdiction. That's what SJ is.
Oh, Southern Jurisdiction.
That's why in Florida, there's Southern Jurisdiction, Scottish Rite.
Oh, okay.
November 25th, 95 in Atlanta, Georgia, and unanimously elected to Scottish Rite's highest honor, the Grand Cross by the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree. Illuminati confirmed. In executive session on October 3rd, 1997 in D.C.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was legit. Yeah, he was all the way, and he started his. So a common misconception, and it was funny. I was talking to my wife today, and she didn't know this. It was not his daughter who was adopted. It was he who was adopted. He was born in Atlantic City, and about 6 weeks to 6 months, they're not sure on the date, he was adopted by a couple by the name of Rex and Aliva Thomas. And his actual first name is not David, it's Rex. He's named after his adopted father. Rex David Thomas was his full name.
Interesting.
He was fired from his first job in a restaurant because he disagreed with the cook, but the owner decided after he became famous that he would put a picture of Dave Thomas at the entrance of the restaurant until they closed
Why
their
wouldn't
doors.
you?
This is his first job.
I said he volunteered. He volunteered
The tour
for
started at
Korea,
3 p.m.
but he never got actually to Korea. He stayed in West Germany, taking care of the troops on their way between. Came back, worked for KFC for quite some time until about 1968. He retired as the regional director. The last project he did was to help them set up Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips, and then he opened Wendy's. And the first Wendy's restaurant opened in Columbus, Ohio on November 15th, 1969, and that was open until about I forget the date, 1999, 2000, thereabouts. That actual restaurant was still open.
Oh, really? They closed it?
Yeah, and it's not there anymore.
Oh, I would have kept that just as a
Just
historical
as a
piece.
historical point.
Yeah.
The first restaurant opened up.
Yeah, but
Especially for a chain like that now has, just like McDonald's, they have their own charity based on them and all this stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. He started. Oh, that's right. He started
Dave Thomas Foundation.
The Dave Thomas Foundation to help children get adopted and find homes because me having a cousin and my wife's cousin, we're all adopted. I wholeheartedly believe in it. I believe every child.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Oh, it's a great thing.
All right, so fun is over.
Yeah. All right, let's go home.
So now,
You're gonna start singing.
when I am the Inquisitor, as Andrew says, I like to name.
Wait, do you need a staff? You're the Inquisitor.
No one expects the Inquisition.
Excuse me while I.
Let's move on. This is a huge jumping off point, and I'm really trying to behave.
Yeah, be good.
No Monty Python, I swear.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one. You call me the Inquisitor. It had
There
to
will
happen
be an
eventually.
episode.
Yeah. We'll go through the whole thing. Eric Idle, John Cleese, we promise we'll talk about you. So this segment now I like to entitle BBQs. Because I'm Billy Bilbo, and these are my questions.
Oh my God!
Get out.
I've been looking
my God.
Wait
Get
a
out.
minute. Wait a minute. Wait.
No,
Wait.
this is good
I have
teacher
been looking
humor.
at that
I'm
for the
Billy
last
Bilbo,
3
and
days
these
of the
are my
script,
questions.
And I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah, I'm Billy Bilbo, and these are my questions.
I can't wait.
Do you change
Oh, we need a jingle now.
Yeah, we're going to put something in there.
After he says that, do.
Yeah, something.
Hey, that was McDonald's.
Well, listen, do you have to sing the words? Out
No,
when you say it?
don't. Please.
No,
I think you should.
I'm not. I could.
This is a family show. Peter.
Nobody wants to hear that.
We don't want people's ears to bleed. We want them to listen.
Sing at the end.
So, Peter, now you ready? You're in the hot seat.
I'm ready.
That's why he's got the red mic.
All right. So you are. Your name, please, for the record.
Peter De Lucia.
Hold on, let me get one of these lights and they just put it right on
We'll
him.
do the feedback.
Where were you on the night?
All right. Easy question. First one. So, what first enticed you to Masonry?
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to that. Actually, no. So I'd always been interested. I've always, honestly, the first time I think I probably heard about Freemasonry, which is after I've read a bunch of books, not on Freemasonry, but on other kind of esoteric topics. But when I first heard that Freemasonry existed, I think it was probably during like the movie The Da Vinci Code or something like that.
Of course, yeah.
And I always had that in the back of my mind. I had no idea. It just kind of stored back there. And when my wife and I moved to Freehold in 2000, I was driving around Freehold and I see this big brick building that says Masonic Temple on it, and I'm like, all right, well, that's interesting. Yeah. I just kept going about it in my life, working and going crazy. So at the time, and then later on in life, I started traveling for work, and I was out. I flew out Monday mornings, I flew back Thursday nights, and I did that for over 6 years. And I started working from home. And finally, what brought me in the door, I didn't know anybody. I started working from home, and I said, you know what? Actually, funny story is the week before.
Tell this part.
My wife was at church, and she comes home and she's like, you know what? You should really join the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, this
I'm
is
like,
fantastic.
We all know this story.
I'm like, all right, I'll go down. I'll go down and check him out. So I go down there on I forget whatever it was. It might even have been a Tuesday night. And I go down there, I check him out. I'm sitting there listening, and great organization. I just kind of felt like, because I still had Freemasons in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, well, this is interesting. And the first night they're going to hand me a petition. They're like, sign up. Next week we'll initiate you and do whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, let me just take this home with me and think about it. So I come home and I talk to my wife, and I'm like, you know what, really? I said, if I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go into that brick building I keep passing all the time. Yeah. So I found out, Tuesdays were their nights, and I walked in the building, and that got me in the building. But like I said, I was always kind of somewhat interested in the idea of Freemasonry. Right. I had no idea what it meant or what it was. Right. So I walked in the door. I didn't know anybody. I just walked in. That's great.
You just walked in. Yeah. I mean, me personally, mine was my cousin, but I'd always,
Armando.
Yeah. Yes. One of my all-time favorite human beings.
Yes.
All right,
he will be a guest on the show, and I can't wait for that.
He's confirmed.
I can't wait to be a fly on that wall.
We're getting estimates.
Yeah,
reinforcing the table.
We may have to make room for an entourage in here. Who knows?
Entourage? No, I thought a WWE event was going to happen between you
that'll
two.
Be a mini series.
I think this table can hold them.
So, all right. So, once you walked through that door that first time,
I did.
What made you come back? The second, third, fourth.
The food. No.
Yeah, what was it?
The steady flow of income that just brought me back. No, I'm just kidding.
Illuminati confirmed.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was, not traveling anymore from work and, not knowing what state I was going to be in from week to week. Mm-hmm. It was nice to sit down and kind of see the same group of people, kind of look at, who had similar thoughts than I did and similar things in their heads about, what life was about. And, some of the few people that I started talking to, you just kind of build those connections. And then, over time, it's like, those are the reasons you come back. It's above anything else, it's about the relationships you build.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yep.
No matter what you do, you find something.
Just look at the four of us sitting here right now. I mean,
well, I've been sitting here, and the whole time you're going over this, that I clearly remember pretending to watch hockey with you.
Yeah, I did the same.
3 months.
I pretended as well. I'm like,
because
we're both watching
just in
hockey.
Case, somebody would put on a Devil's game or something like that.
Oh no, it was a Devil's game.
And then
are they still a team, by the way?
Don't.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, so the general operation of the lodge would be that most of the brothers go upstairs to conduct the business of the lodge and whatever, and anybody who is a potential candidate or a petitioning candidate are welcome to stay downstairs, at least in our building, and hang out and talk and just have a good time, and to study things if they have things to study, and we did that.
Yeah,
I mean, for months.
We did.
Literally for months. So he came in, if I remember correctly, it was October
of 2014.
So then I came in January 2015.
Right.
and then I don't think you started the whole process until maybe like February.
I think
February, March. I don't remember.
I might. It was early. It was like January. It was probably
It was
February.
a lot of fun. There was a lot of pretend hockey.
Yes. Well, we did speak a little bit in between
sports.
We
baskets,
weren't. No,
right?
I mean we were watching
the difference.
like
in between the field goals, right? We spoke.
But very similar to Billy to get back to the question. It's very similar. Like what got you here? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of our favorite things to talk about.
is.
Oh yeah,
Is
I
like
agree.
how'd you
Anyone.
get in the door? You know,
What did you see when you first
Right.
came in? What was it like?
We always ask even new people coming in when we give them the tours around the lodge. The first question, one of the questions we ask them, aside from giving them the history of the lodge and where it's built and the first shots of Battle of Monmouth happening on the
It's a very
property, we always ask them, what brings you in? Because everybody's got a different reason. And
Everybody
it's interesting
does.
to know what that is.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the potential candidates always cite the fraternal aspect of it. Hanging out, meeting new people. You're new to the area, things like that. That seems to be a common thread. Right. But there's plenty of others that come in for the esoteric, the connection. And I mean, we give them the kind of disclaimers like, don't come in here with the idea of you're going to get business connections here.
Right,
That's
You're
not
gonna
what we're
climb a
about.
business ladder
It comes down to
somehow,
relationships.
just from what-
You might find someone that could be helpful to you later in life, like
Absolutely.
a plumber or some kind of engineer, something like that. But it's not like I'm going to go in there and all of a sudden I'm going to be president in 16 years.
No, that's not how it works.
Well, I mean, I think that people
that's
join.
what happened with Peter. Peter drove past the building enough times, and he went, you know what? I'm going to run that place.
Well, I mean, it kind of happened that way.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
but I say, like, people join for different reasons. There's a historical aspect. There's a fraternal aspect. There's a educational aspect to it. There's an esoteric aspect.
History, all that stuff.
There's plenty of guys. I never cared about history in my life.
Oh, but there's a
Sorry,
lot of it-
anybody who ever taught me in school.
But in our lodge, there's a lot of
There's
history
a lot,
guys.
and now I do. I care about the history of the lodge. I hear about the. It's very interesting.
It is. It is.
The history of Freemasonry and where it came from. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, moving on.
So
to
for
the-
his second question,
that we're all going to jump on.
right. So Kevin mentioned that he sat with you while you guys were coming
Watching
through.
hockey.
But what would you say as far as staying connections and stuff like that? But becoming an officer, what or who was your biggest influence
becoming an officer.
in becoming an officer of the lodge? Yes. Because once you
So I
got
don't
in,
know-
you came in, but then you decided, you know what, I'm going to take an active role and actually do something here. What made you think that?
Well, it's kind of funny. It's like, all right, could you sit in this chair and do this?
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the times, that's how it
there's
starts.
There's a difference between that. I mean, so that's
Right.
how it starts, right?
Right.
And then you start really getting involved in, again, building the relationships, not only with the people that are in the lodge, but the lodge itself. You treat it like it's your house. You care about it.
Right. 100%.
So, a way to be able to have that, to provide that service, one way to provide that service
give
is
back,
become an officer.
basically, yeah.
And you serve the lodge in whatever capacity you can, whatever chair you
I think it
get
kind of
asked to
goes
put
along
into.
with the phrase that we always like to tout is you get in what you put out.
Yes.
Or you get out what you put
you
in.
get out of it what you
no,
put
you're
into it,
close.
and that's
Yeah.
totally
so I agree, and in particular, you would have to be pretty thick to become a member and to not notice guys doing things
Right.
for the lodge, right? And particularly the roles of officers and how that outwardly appears when we're doing charitable works and things like that.
Right.
But inside the lodge, when we're doing the actual work of the lodge, I mean, it's just. It's something where you could easily point to and say, I want to do that next.
Right.
Well, yeah, you'll definitely
it's
find
interesting.
inspiration.
you do find the inspiration, and I think that you also have to remember that there's a responsibility tied to it.
Yes.
In not only to your other
Or
officers,
you will be reminded.
Yes, that is also true.
You get reminded privately, right? Praise publicly, and
Yes,
you
yeah.
remind privately. But you have to remember that there's a responsibility not only to the lodge, to the building, to your brothers, to the other officers, to anybody new that walks in that door.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You're the
I mean,
representation.
you and I have kind of taken over the role of the tour guides.
Yeah.
You know, I want to pass that along to not saying that I don't want to do it, but I think that there should be more people.
No, there should be more people that do it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. You kind of sit back and you
watch your students go.
right, and you let
Yeah.
them go, and you're like, no, that's not right. Don't stop. Wait, no, come here, Len. You just
You're
go,
giving away too much.
No.
Wait, no.
Save a little. Milking cows, guys.
No goats.
No goats. All right,
There's
so
no goat.
Maybe for you.
so you decided to sit in a chair.
Just that one time.
So you went through the chairs.
I did my first chair.
You sat in all of them.
Which was
I
your
sat in
first?
most of them.
All right. So
Not a lot of them.
what was your first chair?
So my first chair was chaplain.
See,
All right.
different path.
All right.
Different
No,
paths.
it's fine. It's still
Because
something.
for the majority of us, or at least the majority of the brothers that I've spoken to, their first chair was steward.
Right.
You know, and then they went whichever way
Yep.
from there. Yours was chaplain. I remember you because I believe you were chaplain for me for one of my degrees.
If it was during 2015, I was probably chaplain for
Yeah.
you.
So
I might have been. You were with Andrew.
no, he was before. He started.
You
He
were-
got his first degree before me.
Yeah, but it was in.
But
20,
after-
We did Fellowcraft and Master Mason
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
All right. So you've sat in many of
sat in
these.
chair
You've
as
sat in
chaplain.
many of the chairs, right? So, what would you say? And Worshipful Master is a giveaway. What was
Yeah.
the most memorable chair that you sat in besides the WM chair?
So that's funny. So senior deacon, you do a lot of work.
yeah,
And
you
it's
do.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, you do.
Not my favorite chair.
Really?
Yeah. So I was junior master of
I think
ceremonies.
you earned quite a fan base by saying that, I think. There's going to be people tuning in every week now.
So I was junior master of ceremonies 1 year, and the senior master of ceremonies couldn't make an EA degree.
Oh.
So I was
Ooh.
senior master of ceremonies for that degree, and it was an EA degree. So I had to learn the interrogatory and things like that. I thought that was great. I mean, it's your first time. You know, the petitioners that have been coming to the lodge, it's their first introduction to what happens upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
And you're that person. You set the stage, you set the tone, you set the feeling, you set the egregore, you set everything.
I was that for you, Billy, wasn't I?
You were, in fact, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
will never
So
forget
I
it,
thought
yeah.
that was great. I like that.
It's definitely you definitely are as another brother has said. You're the face of the lodge at that
Yes,
point. Not the building, because obviously the stewards control downstairs, really. But like once you get to the actual lodge and the business of Freemasonry, the junior master and senior master of ceremonies would be the face
Yes,
of that
absolutely.
room.
Yep,
They're
they
the-
greet you.
They are the first
Yep.
interaction that a person has while they're being.
Initiated, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And
So senior deacon was fun and a lot of work, but I really like that first interaction.
I got it. Yeah, I'll agree with you. Having just been senior master of ceremonies and going through the interrogatory and getting to do the one
Right.
degree that we got to do, I got to tell you, I loved it. It was very cool.
They won
like
degree
being able
back
to
last
go
January.
in, yeah, and it's like you're like, all right, guys, get jazzed. Here we go.
Get
We're gonna
jazzed.
We started off the year with a bang,
Yeah, we sure did.
and then it stopped. They're laughing.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So
Yeah, we have to apologize. We are currently recording in a shared universe podcast studio in Neatontown, New Jersey, and there's actually another podcast in the background. So if you hear a little bit of noise,
behind the sunrise,
guys.
on the other side of the sunrise. Other side of the-
yeah.
We like our neighbors.
Funny
We
how-
do though. They're good
Yeah.
guys.
They're
They're
nice.
fun, yeah.
But the sun isn't actually rising though; it's just kind of static.
All right.
It froze time, Billy.
I did forever.
Yes, Dan.
That's what I do.
Anyway.
Right, so
Continue.
back to the BBQs.
I can't. Where's my ribs? Like, this is garbage.
We're getting to the meat of the
Yeah,
situation.
okay.
I just can't hear BBQ without, like, you know, there are words that you say that you have to say.
You get
with
an
a-
olfactory scent to
Yeah.
it.
but there are words that you have to say with an accent, and I have to think of what accent.
BBQ.
Don't ever do that again.
Is that like the Bebe Crows?
All right, so serious time.
BBQ.
This is
What?
that sounded like Mike Myers or
What
something.
is going on?
All the
What's in that
things.
cup?
I don't know.
All right, so
Yes.
I was told that you are quite fond of the appendant bodies of Masonry.
Quite fond.
Yes.
He carries many dues cards.
Right. Would you like to speak a little bit about them? Not really in detail, but like, why? Why? Like, you got enough?
Well,
Because he's got disposable income.
Let's do this, Peter.
So yeah, no.
Whoa.
So, Peter, one of the things maybe to include is the difference between
Yes, that's
Blue Lodge, what we would call Blue Lodge, and then what is an appendant body.
yeah.
So Blue Lodge consists of your home lodge, your mother lodge. It's the lodge you were
Keep it short.
initiated, passed, and raised. That's it. That's Blue Lodge. That's short enough?
That was beautiful.
Okay.
I love that.
Nice. So beyond that, like was mentioned earlier by Worshipful Brother Rizzatello, the Shriners are an appendant body. There are many others. The Scottish Rite is an appendant body. There are other appendant bodies that you can petition and join.
Right.
York Rite is another set of bodies, and I belong to the York Rite. It's Scottish Rite, York Rite.
The red and the blue houses.
Well, blue is Blue Lodge. Red is
York.
red is red, purple, and then Commandery. Right.
Yeah.
But so the York Rite is split up into 3 bodies, right? Chapter, council, and Commandery. And I've gone through those degrees.
Okay.
So have I. That was fun.
They were
Well,
fun.
actually, 3 of us here have. Yeah.
When I went through them, one a month. And I think I did the 2 council degrees in one day, but everything else I did one a month. And they went through them. They're nice. The chapter and council kind of continue the story, if you will.
Okay.
That
fun. That's neat.
see and hear about in Blue Lodge. And they're interesting. You know, for me, I think that they're a way. You know, when you go into a Blue Lodge, your home lodge, you know the brothers there. You see them every week, and you build those relationships.
Right.
The appendant bodies gives you an opportunity to go meet other people throughout the state. Right. Chapter and council meet down in Toms River. Commandery happens to meet in Freehold, but you're traveling, you're meeting people from other lodges, and you get to build relationships across the state, meet people, hear their stories, ask the same questions that you're asking, like what brought them into that.
Right. Yeah, like Kevin said, it's one of our favorite questions to ask.
And then beyond those bodies, there are other invitational bodies.
Yeah.
Celtic Masonry for Knight Masons, it's KNIGHT, or AMD, Allied Masonic degrees.
Which has, I don't know how many, hundreds of degrees in it. Held within just Allied Masonic.
So I don't know how many degrees they are. They do have a bunch of degrees, but they're also more of a research lodge.
Yeah.
So if the councils are limited, I believe, to 27 members. So there are n number of councils in the state.
That's what I mean.
Don't know how many they are, but each one is limited to, I think, 27 members.
Yeah. So you technically can't join until someone either leaves or whatever.
Right. And every council is different. Some councils say you have to, do some research, write a paper, present a paper once a year. Some councils are a little bit more relaxed. Maybe it's once every 2 years or something like that.
Oh, all right. That's fun.
And they're interesting. They're a lot of fun. Again, there are ways to. They have their own reasons. I mean, the Knight Masons are interesting because they come out of Ireland, and you learn about Celtic Masonry there. And,
that's very cool.
and it continues the story to some extent that you start, but it's still interesting knowing that the history of where these things came from.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, you're meeting people from all across the state.
And you're side by side with some of the state level guys who are now equal to you. At least I should say the state level Blue Lodge guys that are now equal to you in whatever the appendant body is because they didn't want to take a chair in that body. So there very well could be a time where Peter took a chair in chapter in Royal Arch chapter, and he was quote unquote above a past Grand Master. Because he chose to become the leader of the chapter at that time. Again, let me reiterate for a second or backtrack. There is no hierarchy in the sense of, like, a lot of people misconstrue the information when they see numbers after your name and after your title. So there's a big, obviously, conspiracy theory about, like, if you're a 33rd degree Mason, like we spoke about with Dave Thomas, that they're the ones that know the true secret and all this other nonsense. And we'll go into the conspiracy theories in another episode. It's not. The Master Mason is the highest degree level of Masonry. And from there, it is a plane. it kind of plateaus.
It's tough. If people, if you Googled around, the steps of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
It's you got the 3 steps on the bottom and the pyramid with the Scottish Rite on one side and the York Rite
and
on
it
the
looks
other.
like that.
It looks like there's a hierarchy, but
there isn't.
It's just
the way they put it
It's
together.
it's more of a web than it is a.
I mean, if you really want a measurement for it, the Blue Lodge is a group of people who spend a lot of time together, right? There's learning, there's education, there's all this stuff, and that's really great. And all of the same things happen in these appendant bodies. But in order to track down all these extra degrees, you need to spend a lot of money on gasoline.
Yes.
You need to,
certainly
have
eat a
some
lot.
meals in your car.
Oh yeah.
well, there's a lot of meals at the places
And
too.
and you do a lot of favors, and that could be simply, hey, we need an extra guy. Hey, do you know this part?
Yeah.
There's also a lot of things you can build.
But it's opportunities to go learn more about
Yes.
Things to do with our activity.
That's right. Yeah. And it's nice. And there's things that we've done in our lodge over the last 5 or 6 years that, when I was in the officer line for, Royal Arch Chapter, you start bringing some of those ideas to those, and it's a way of expanding out and
Right. Yeah.
doing
That's
some
very
really
cool.
good stuff.
Yeah, I always had an interest, and it's very neat to know that they're out there. And if you need to know more,
I'll give you a disclaimer though, and it was told to me when I became a Master Mason: don't out Mason yourself.
yes,
Don't keep
correct.
joining, because, like I joked about before, Peter carries many dues cards. Every dues card is money. Mm-hmm.
And
now,
time.
it
But it's not
is.
just money; it's also time.
Yeah.
we Blue Lodge, you're out, 4 days a week. If you're
4 days a month.
4 days a month, unless you're an officer, it's 5 days.
5
Yeah.
days.
Right, and then you got some of the other ones that meet once a month, or like chapter and council, they meet once a month. Happen to be on the same night.
These are
Commandery
all
meets,
lies.
Commandery meets another
What?
night a month. Right, Night Masons meets once a quarter. I mean, you gotta add these up.
Yeah.
This all sounds great, doesn't it? None of this is true. just ask some of our significant others.
Yeah, they're not really.
They should have their own show.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they're listening, hi, honey.
the widows of masonry.
I promise it's only one night a week.
I swear, and maybe a Sunday.
Maybe a Sunday.
All right.
Oh, but it's
Well,
great. I like the idea of it. I think that it's great. I think that the people you meet across the street in any of these bodies, and the reasons those bodies, the historical aspect of those bodies and why they exist,
Yes.
where they came from, who started them, why they were brought here. Like the Night Masons Council that I'm a member of, it was the first council that was given its charter from, I believe, from the United States. So 1 through my council is Northern New Jersey Council number 10. 1 through 9 actually got their charters from Ireland.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's very interesting.
Oh, that's very cool. All right, so moving along.
Third question.
Yeah, I know, right?
Number 2.
Number 2 point.
Yeah.
So
Here's
here's
A.
the big one, and this is the one that I've been dying to ask you all night. So, as we all know, every human being on this planet, the year 2020 presented us all with some challenges.
Really?
Nonetheless,
There were challenges?
we persevered and we got through. What I want to know is, as Worshipful Master of 2020, what did you have planned? How did that change?
Okay.
And how did you adapt?
Okay. So what did I have planned? So for 2020...
The TLDR is he did a great job.
He really did.
Look at how he did it.
I would like all of you to hear, because it really was
Peter
inspiring.
Peter and I, because Peter is my immediate predecessor, so he and I, being his junior, spent many time on the phone back and forth with ideas, and me just kind of going, no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's okay.
I believe in you. I believe in you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So for me, I think in by the time December of 2019 came around, by the previous July of 2019, I probably had every Tuesday planned of 2020.
Oh yeah, you definitely got
I
to do
had
that.
everything planned.
Yeah.
I had, not only did I have everything planned, I held, the trestle boards that go out every month, which is a plan of what's going to happen for the month, and its itinerary of things that are going to happen. And the master of the lodge puts out a message. I had probably 10 of them written by September of 2019.
Something I'm not doing.
great.
And it was great because it was one less thing I had to worry about during the year across everything else.
Absolutely.
So every Tuesday I had something planned. I had degrees spread out. I had lectures planned. I had people scheduled to come in and do lectures. I had
Events.
The other entry. I had events planned. I had some things that people may or may not know is that Freemasonry is a men's organization.
Yes.
There is a women's organization called the Order of the Eastern Star.
Yes.
And there is also there are girls and boys organizations.
Children's
There's the
organizations.
International Order of the Rainbow for Girls,
Yes.
which my daughter is a part of. And there is also DMLA for boys. So part of my year, I also had planned, they each have things that they can do when they come into a lodge. So I had them coming in. I had events for them to come in and perform what they were going to perform. The Rainbow Girls have a degree that they can perform. The DMLA boys have a degree that they can perform. So I wanted to bring that into the lodge and to just expand the scope of what people think. Because when you come into a lodge and you only see Blue Lodge, you only see the same people all the time, you don't really get an idea of everything else, whether it's appendant bodies or the kids' organizations.
Right.
There definitely is a family aspect. Even though they're all separate, there is a there's a Freemason family.
we all
There is a
work
Masonic
together.
family,
Yeah.
and that was the larger thing that I wanted to bring forward. I had, luckily enough, earlier in the year, we were able to have one thing I wanted to do was the family game night. So we had OES,
that
we had
was
Rainbow,
great.
we had DMLA, we had us and our wives and our kids, and we spent
just had a good
couple hours
time.
playing
So
games.
much fun.
Nothing special.
I really
No.
wish we could have. We're going to.
I wanted to do more of that. Like I
Yeah,
wanted
me
to
too.
do something like every couple of months like that to have just
Absolutely.
people comfortable coming into the lodge. So I had that kind of planned. I don't know. I probably had some other events planned as well. I mean, I had some outdoor stuff like the fish fry that we do.
Yeah, the fish fry.
We had
The outdoor Master Mason
we
degree
had the
that
outdoor
we do.
Master Mason degree that we usually do. We wanted to do the coffee house, which
yeah.
was
Yeah.
a couple of guys playing music, like him, and
How you doing, everybody?
We can neither confirm nor
Listen,
deny.
I want to, just because he threw it over to me for a second. Peter's being very modest because one of the things about somebody's year in the East is what we call it, just in case you don't know, when they're in charge of a lodge for a year. They've been thinking about that for years at a time.
Yeah.
And something that if you don't mind my own observation, one of the things that Peter was really big on was community outreach, and I remember many conversations with him where he really wanted that to be a focus, not only community outreach within Freehold, but also within our Masonic family of these groups of Eastern Star and Rainbow for Girls and DMLA.
Yeah.
it was. And we had some things scheduled with lunch break to go out in a group. The one thing I thought of that I was able to do was, across the street from my house there's a park and there's a little free library.
Yes.
You ever heard of those? Littlefreelibrary.org or something like that. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't we have one of those in front of the lodge? So, Worshipful Brother Ken built that.
Yep.
We put
Great
that out in
carpenter
front of the
that he is.
lodge,
Yes.
and we had a book drive. We got books and we put it in there. So how did it change?
Yes. What happened?
What happened? So we started
was
off
gonna
the
be
year.
great. It was gonna be
January
great.
started. We
We had
I had
Kevin.
we had Kevin.
came in and spoke to us. He was like our last live guest. at
No,
the
he did.
lodge.
He did his over a Zoom.
I
Yeah.
remember doing at least one Zoom lecture.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did
He
his
did
Zoom.
one live for
I don't
us.
know who
remember.
started it.
I might have.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
might have.
I think that was February, right before.
I much preferred to do lectures
Yes.
in person.
Yes, especially what we had planned.
That was
yeah,
a year
that was
ago
gonna be
now at this
great.
point.
Oh
It
my
was.
god, yeah, it sure was.
But I did. What did I do? We had a degree in January, and then around February we started off, and then COVID hit, so everything stopped. So as soon as we got the word that COVID hit, wherever it was in March, in the middle of March,
Yep.
right
after my birthday.
I started a Zoom. I got a Zoom account, and then that next Tuesday, every Tuesday from there on, became Zoom Tuesday nights for Olive Branch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, the most critical point during the whole time, even back in January, was communication.
Yes.
And so
Oh,
continuing
yeah.
the relationships and continuing the fact that Tuesday night was Olive Branch night.
Mm-hmm.
So Zoom nights, every Tuesday we had a Zoom, and we started having like just kind of a hangout just to get people
I gave my
connected.
second lecture ever over Zoom.
And then
Sure
I'm like,
did.
you know
I
what?
gave my first ever.
I can't. it can't just be a hangout. It has to be a reason. So I started
Yes.
doing all the lectures that I had planned. I started calling all those people, and I said, brothers, can you do the lectures over Zoom? And that's what happened. And I did them over
So
Zoom.
I would like to point out also that every single week we had something going on. So normally when a worshipful master does his
That's right.
agenda, he only has 2 weeks out of the month, 2 weeks out of the 4 weeks of the month to actually plan an important piece of business or
Well, it's only at least here in New
lecture.
Jersey, we only have 2
Yes,
business
we
meetings.
for us, I'm
meet
sorry, yeah.
every 2 times a month.
2 times a month. Right. But what Peter did, and not to toot our horns as officers, is we all came up with ideas for every single week. Every week
did.
that we met on Zoom, we had something pointed, and it was, I gotta say, it really was inspiring. To me, it let me know that you're thinking about everyone, and like you said, the communication was up, and it was just a way that's like, listen, we know things are weird, but we're going to try to take what can be normal now, and we're going to try to do our Tuesday nights. You're going to come, we're going to hang out.
I'd like to
learn.
interject for a second. Coming up through the chairs, following Peter and worshipful brother Ken Long, there's one message that kept getting passed down to me was communication, and I mean that as a leader, that's just a typical like you should know that kind of thing. So like I didn't mind, I didn't kind of get and understand like what do you mean? Why do I have to focus on communication? It's because no one wants to respond.
Yes.
It's not so much you as the leader of this group of men sending something out and either you're asking or you're telling, whatever, but it's getting people to respond back to you, whether it's a positive, a negative, whatever.
Right.
It's like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And it does get a little hard at times, and it definitely gets frustrating.
It does. What was nice was that, like, when I was sending out, I'd send out mass texts to like 100
Oh
brothers.
my God.
Oh, that was great.
So I separated it out to the officers. I'd send out one thing, but I'd send out those Zoom calls every week. I'd send it out mass text to 100 brothers, and we got a couple of them that
We did. We got
couldn't
some
show up
rusty
to
brothers.
Lodge.
Yeah, we did. We
Because
see people
they're-
that I had never seen in Lodge that
and it was nice.
I got to hear.
It was nice, hopefully they get to come out to the lodge. But it is all it's about communication and relationships. That's everything.
Yeah.
Here.
Wait a second. I think
That's what happens. Listen, once you're a past master, your cell phone just blows up all the time.
Yeah. What do I do now? I'm sitting right here.
What is he texting me for?
Andrew's been texting from across the table.
Yes. Shut up.
Hello?
So you zoomed.
Well, I zoomed. We did a lot of Zoom.
then after the Zoom was done, because it did in fact come to an end.
Around July.
Yep, right
Yes.
around July.
We had our first meeting back.
Our first meeting back.
Was that the one where we were allowed to have 35 people? Or we were only
I think
allowed
we're only 25.
We were
20
still-
maybe, something like
Something
that. Maybe
like that.
20.
It was
Okay.
still whatever it was.
Yeah.
We were very good about maintaining the COVID restrictions
Yeah,
and everything, and that was great. And it was nice to see people in, but unfortunately, it wasn't.
As nice as it could be.
But it was nice to get back into the lodge and
Yes.
get whomever you can have out, under the guidelines. And it was just nice being there. It was something that, it's kind of interesting. It's like, you gear up to waiting to be a worshipful master of a lodge, and you look forward to putting that time in being there in the lodge and being there in the chair and going through those meetings. And so it was a little tough. Going back to what you said before, is like we meet 2 times a month. I tried to have something every week because I didn't want everybody just kind of like fumbling around or not.
We got nothing.
I wanted everybody to be there, and I wanted to make sure that everybody maintained those connections. But you do lose something because you don't have that
Oh my
time in the
God,
chair.
you definitely lose.
Yeah, and
physically there.
You do. I think we all know. Hopefully that unless we've been drastically affected by COVID, we've all been affected by COVID to some degree.
Yes.
But I think we all knew going into it that we were conceding something, but at least, and again, it's a point of pride for all of us that you took it on yourself.
Yes.
To do as much as you did, because you didn't really have to.
No.
Nobody was
No,
telling
you really didn't.
Yeah.
that you had to hold
You
things
didn't have
on
to do
Zoom.
it
I
every
appreciate
week.
that.
You could have done it once a
No,
month.
no,
or
no,
just
but
a
it was-
check-in. Or,
you will be complimented this evening, young man.
Yes, sir. And you will take it, and you will like it.
Listen, I mean, there's got to be a badge or something, and I think there was some kind of ceremony. You know,
I think we did something
there was,
silly.
there was something. We'll just
I got a big plastic shield.
go through the olive branch.
I got through
Come visit
COVID-19.
sometime.
The
We'll
big
tell you about
plastic
it.
one.
So,
All I got
but-
was this stupid cup.
But I'll tell you, it's something that and I think again we all know that any degree of normalcy that can be preserved is precious. So you did that.
Thank you, Peter.
You did.
I cannot say
in
it.
a big way.
I know I've
You
said
did.
it a million times,
and
but
all
I can't say it.
I will
you.
say all the worshipful masters in our immediate region
Yes.
did their absolute best
Yes,
with
nod to them
something
all.
that could
Yes.
never have been expected.
Yes.
So they're all to be commended.
So not to you
They
all,
did.
gentlemen.
It sucked. It really
It
did
was-
suck.
it really
was-
did. It
It's
was-
so
but-
interesting because, like Peter was saying, you ramp yourself up not just as preparing to be worshipful master, but just being an officer and wanting to go for us every Tuesday night to be at lodge, to meet, to see you guys and whomever else that's there, maybe a candidate or whomever, and something like that. Have a home cooked meal by gentlemen such as Billy Bilbo at one point.
Yes. And yourself at some point.
No, you all joked that my mother made it, so.
Thank you, Mrs. Rizzatella.
Thank you very much. The food was awesome.
You make the best.
You weren't even there. Shut up.
I had it once.
But like, especially the first, I'd say month, maybe month and a half, you're like, oh, I'm going to. No, I'm not.
Right.
Like
And
it took an emotional toll.
It does, but now the biggest thing is now everybody's, well, for the most part, now everybody's, at some point it's interesting because, all right, so we tried to maintain that Tuesday nights were olive branch night, but they were easy because you could just go and, you're on a Zoom call. You can do whatever you're doing while you're on a Zoom call. Now it's like, how do you get people out of the house and bring them back in?
that's a concern
even
for
with the current constrictions that we have, only 10 people, but we abide by that. But
Yes,
but when it
even
opens
still.
up, how do you get people to get out of their house and come back in again? Some people want to run. Some people get used to not running.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting year.
Yeah, to say the
it's a-
least.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
important. Listen, that every time you stand up from here until the end of Freemasonry, the room will be quiet.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
He was master. That
All I'm going to hear for the rest of the year is that's not how we did it during my year.
no, sir.
We didn't have to have meetings in my year.
We didn't even sit in chairs in my year.
That's it.
Peter, you've laid to bed anything that could ever be have been touted by any past master.
Yeah. Because in my year, I stayed home every day.
That's right. My year, we did everything virtually.
So, with those kudos, one
Now
final,
we start tearing you apart.
one final question.
Shoot.
So,
Stops making noise.
having gone through that, but still having been worshipful master and
Yes.
gone through all of that stuff, do you have any valuable advice for anyone who's going through the chairs now, is sitting in the chair now, or
Who might that be?
that you could pass along that would just...
I think Peter has given me enough advice. He knows
I'm
how
su-
much I'm
I'm
pulling
s-
my hair out.
I'm 100% sure he has them.
I think anybody going up through the chairs, I think you look at those chairs, and I looked at that chair as not, but as an opportunity to serve the brothers and the lodge.
It's not a power structure.
Yes.
Do not come in with the idea of
No.
I am now ruling you.
Me boss now.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not,
don't
and
do
everybody
that.
wants to come in and do what they think is the right thing to do to bring the lodge forward.
I've been running a previous conversation over in my head where we spent a lot of time talking about the stewards, and that's, I mean, quite literally, you are serving the
brothers,
brethren.
yeah.
And it's not. I mean, I'm not holding, stewardship above anything else, but it is perspective.
But a way to a man's heart is through his stomach, right? So
Yeah, sure.
they serve the you serve the brothers when you start in as stewards,
Why
and
did
you
you look
serve
at
the
me
brothers when you're a
Are
worshipful
you
master.
calling me fat? Is that what you're saying?
kind of show is this?
Listen, I got my COVID weight on. Don't worry about it.
I got my life
Yeah, that's
weight
what
on.
this is, Pete.
That's
Thanks.
it.
I'm just portly.
That's it. I'm going to the Elks.
They will make fun of me.
Thank you. Good night. Try the veal.
All right, so
But no. So advice. I think that it's look. You couple of things. So I had the whole year planned by July 2019. Obviously, nothing ever goes as planned. So you got to learn to make changes on the fly and adapt, and have plans B, C, D, and E and Z. But again, for me, the biggest thing is you're the face of the lodge. You're the representative of the lodge. You're a member of the lodge. Anything you do reflects on the lodge, and you got to remember that you're there to take care of everybody in that building is your responsibility. That's it. Communication, relationships, and accountability. It's your responsibility. Right. Everything in that building is your responsibility. The people are your responsibility.
that was absolutely fantastic, Peter. Thank you so much.
Thanks, BBQ.
Answered all my questions.
BBQ.
No.
You're not BB-8. You're BBQ.
BBQs has ended because I said thank you.
Thank you, BBQ.
But yes, again, thank you,
thank
Worshipful
you.
brother Peter de Lucia. I hope everyone got. Do you guys have any questions that I didn't ask that you want to ask Peter?
Oh, jeez.
You gotta go.
Not to put you guys on the
ask
spot.
something
I
now.
was just thinking maybe anything he said spark a question.
How tall are you?
Yeah. 5'9". I didn't know that now.
8'20".
I wish. I'm 5 foot short.
So, I mean, while we have some time,
Yes.
Billy, or Andrew, it doesn't
Okay.
matter. I mean, what got you into the building? Like what?
Oh, jeez. You go. Since you're the youngest Mason here.
Yeah, technically I'm the youngest Mason. So, for me, what got me in the building? So, what first piqued my interest, the first thing I ever did, I grew up in Neptune, right off Route 33. And if you've ever been to Route 33, we kind of mentioned it last week. Asbury Jordan is on Route 33 in Neptune. And that building is very unique.
Yes,
If you've ever seen the building,
it
it is a square and compass as the facade of the building.
If it was mentioned in the Chris Hodap blog,
Was it really?
Freemasonry blog, as the only lodge that could be seen from space.
Thank you, Brother Hoda.
Thank you, Brother Odette.
I'm not sure who said it, but
Very, very interesting building.
it was
So,
enjoyable to see that
Yes.
picture. on there.
so I used to pass this building every single day on my way to and from school, and it just piqued my interest. And as I got older, I started to go to the library, and you hear when I was younger, I was very into like the King Solomon's and Indiana Jones stuff. And when you read King Solomon's Mines, you start to learn a little bit about the Freemasons because these are the mines that he used. You guys know what I mean?
There's a little overlap.
So, yeah. So I got a little bit older, and I never really thought of it, and I knew that the only way to be a Mason was to know a Mason, and I didn't know any Masons, and
I have a great story about
and
that.
I wasn't gonna just walk around randomly asking people I knew if they were Masons. So time moves forward, and years passed, and my cousin and I, my cousin is a brother, and he's actually an older Mason than I am, but younger than I am, and. So we were together after my grandmother's funeral, and we were just hanging out, in his room, like playing video games. And he's like, "Hey, you want to see something?" And he opened his closet to show me something else, and I noticed that he had a square and compass on his suit. And I was like, "Armando, what are you doing with that? You can't have that unless you're a Mason. You got to take that off right now." And he looked me dead in the eye, and he said, "I am a Mason. I'm a Master Mason. Not only am I a Master Mason, I'm a Master Mason about 1.5 miles from your house."
The best part is all of us know Armando, and I can completely see the attitude he gave you.
Yeah, absolutely. So he invited me. He said, "If you're not doing anything Tuesday, come by." And I came in, and I met Kevin, and I met Pete, and I met Andrew for a minute. And then you
Just-
got to go
just
up
for a minute.
because you were always busy. You were cooking and stuff, but both of you
Yeah,
guys
you-
were in there cooking the
you
first
guys
time
were
I
doing
came in. Yeah,
I do. I ninja a lot.
and I met everyone. I met Ken, and Ken thought that all I wanted to do was drink whiskey, but I was happy to prove him wrong because, as you guys know, I don't even drink whiskey. And I just kind of stayed because the friendships I made on that first night, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. That I walked into a place and I had a conversation with a few people, and then I felt like I had been going there my entire life. Like it was just a place that I needed to go to and belong, because here were people that not necessarily all of us have like minds, but we have
We definitely
minds
do.
that are alike.
Yeah, we don't
you
have
know?
like minds, because then the organization would either
It'd be weird and we'd all be clones.
But
and-
and it could be very intimidating walking in.
Yeah.
I mean,
For me,
walking
it
into
was.
a building. For me, it was like walking into that building not knowing anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I didn't know what I was gonna see, what I was gonna experience.
Like
And there was
terrified.
just like
Yes.
something in there that, like you said, it's just that comfortable feeling that
There's absolutely a
Get you to
sense
come
of
back.
courage that comes with becoming a Mason. Like you have to. It
You
may
have to
not-
break a shell. You have to
There's
br-
some
you have to-
people may not feel it, but yeah, you're 100% right, Andrew. You have to break a shell. Like you have to almost go out of your comfort zone and just walk into a building where you don't know anybody, because you're just so you want to do this and you're determined and you're like, you know what, I want to do this so much, I'm gonna walk through that door. And I got to tell you, most of the time I haven't really heard any horror stories, but that first step through the door is a new world of like understanding, new relationships.
just broadens your perspective.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It really is.
And it was funny when you mentioned "to be one, ask one," and I was saying before I didn't even know that phrase.
Yeah.
And so I was on I think I was on a cruise, and I see this guy like way on the other side of the boat, and he's got a T-shirt, it's black T-shirt with white letters on it, "To be one, ask one," and he had a square and compass on it. I didn't even realize that, but I saw the square and compass, and I'm like. And I ran across the boat, and I went to go, and he stopped what he was doing with his family, and he talked to me for like 25 minutes, and that's what like put the seed in my head that like, you know, when I get a chance, I'm gonna go see a lodge and go find it. But it was interesting to find somebody.
So Andrew,
Yeah.
what about you?
Well, I've told the story before to these guys and all the petitioners, actually. I'm similar to Peter in the aspect of like the media informed me of what Freemasonry was. I have no familial connection to Freemasonry. A lot of us here, or not maybe here, but at least at our lodge, have that family connection, which is awesome, and it's definitely something you pass down to your sons. So it was just like, Billy, like you were saying, it's a leap of faith. You know, you got to break that introvert shell for a minute and just dive in. So when I first looked into it, I think it was 2013, 2014, I came to the lodge. And at that time, the lodge seemed very old manish. Like I wasn't impressed. I don't know. No, impressed is the wrong word. I didn't feel comfortable. Not like they did anything. It just, I just didn't feel comfortable. So it was 2 years, and then I sent another message out to the secretary, and they said, you know, come back, you know, come on again. And then I came in and I met the worshipful master at the time, who was very energetic, and all the brothers at the time. And the message I got was, sit down, eat, have something to drink.
Right.
Mange.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm back in an Italian household.
I can navigate this.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And everyone came up to me. They're like, "Oh, you're a new guy. Oh, what brings you here?" You know, and the conversation kept flowing.
Let's go give you a tour.
Yeah, exactly. All of that stuff. You know, so it definitely intrigued me. Like Billy said, there definitely is a feeling of mutual respect from everyone. And then from the more esoteric side and the more like spiritual side of it, because you do have to be a bit spiritual to be a Freemason. Let's get that clear. Now you have to be different jurisdictions define what that means, but overall you have to be spiritual
Not
too.
religious.
Yeah, not
That's, he's being very careful
You
with
have
his
to,
words.
you have to
here,
believe
so
in a higher power
Yeah.
that holds you accountable for what you do on
for
a
the
daily
obligations
basis.
that you take. You know, so and again, like I said, every jurisdiction has a different definition of what that means. So the symbols and the signs on the walls, which at the time I didn't know what they meant, you're looking around, it's like almost like looking at somebody's tattoos. Every tattoo has a story. Well, so do all these symbols and signs and everything all over this room, the lodge room. Mm-hmm. Everything has a story, whether it be a more symbolic or historical thing. There's something behind.
There's a meaning and a purpose.
Yeah, but why is there a rock on the floor? Well, because...
Well, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't tell you now.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the rock.
No rock. No rock. Sorry, no rock.
The rock didn't exist.
So yeah,
but you're right. You walk in there. There's a lot of things that you see that you have
no idea. Which is interesting because I find myself, and Peter will attest to this because we're the one, like I said, we're the ones that give the tour. I find myself becoming that. I guess you can just say tour guide, where it's like even if it isn't my lodge, I will jump at the chance to help someone with their first experience of Freemasonry. Yep. Yeah. I belong to the Freemason Discord group, which is an offshoot of the Freemasonry subreddit. If anybody's on Reddit, yes, the subreddit Freemasonry is real. We are brothers on there, and we keep the conversation pretty open to anyone who wants to join. And the Discord, like I said, is just a subset of that. And today, in fact, there was someone who was asking about New Jersey Freemasonry, and through Discord you can, tag where you are and things like that. Yep. So someone shouted out New Jersey, and I was the first one to jump on there. And I spoke to this gentleman, found out where he was, tried to help him get in contact with the lodge nearest him. Told him that, if he wants to come visit us up in Central Jersey, because he's South Jersey, that he can at any time. Well, sort of.
Not now.
Not right now, but...
In the regular
Well, the best thing
time.
to do is to contact the Grand Lodge, and they'll...
Yeah, of course. But, like, the feeling of me being able to go, take my hand.
Right.
I will guide you as much as I can.
Yeah. And, it's a great feeling, too. It's like even when you travel around, from within the state and meet other brothers throughout the state. But when you go out, you cross states, and you go to lodges, it was really cool. I was just a short thing. I was down in Hawaii a few years ago.
Yes.
And I knew I was going to go down there, so I called. I emailed the secretary of the Honolulu Lodge down there, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to stop by. Is that all right?" And they said, "Sure, come in." And I walked into the lodge. We sat down, had dinner. They went upstairs to a meeting. They had an EA degree. Went downstairs and chatted for a little bit and went back.
That's so cool.
I know.
But even along the way, it's like we went to they had these food trucks on the north side of the island that we were on, and so one day we rented a car. We drove around. Sit there. We get the food trucks. We're sitting down. I saw these older gentlemen walking in with his Mason hats. Didn't know them. Introduced myself. Said hello. Mm-hmm. They were Masons, I think, from Minnesota. We sat down. They were older, so me, my wife, and my daughter sat down with the two gentlemen, the two brothers, and their wives. Mm-hmm. We had lunch.
Oh,
we just sat and talked for 45 minutes to an hour, and then that was it. We just split up, went away.
I think it's important.
I think that's awesome. You can go anywhere and you can meet a brother.
And I think it's important to point out that anytime you're flying the flag. Right. Anytime that you've got the square and compass, and it's not like this tiny little, like a little pin.
If it's like
if it's like a 3-inch embroidered decal, somebody's going to come up and talk to you.
Yeah,
right.
Most likely, yeah.
So, but it was interesting, and it makes you ask yourself too the question of whether you want to put a little pin on you, or want a big hat that advertises it.
We're not wearing our lodge polos anytime.
So what about you, Kevo?
Yeah.
So,
I remember when you came in.
Yeah. So for me, from the time that I became aware of Freemasonry to the time that I actually stepped into a lodge was about 13 years of difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my my college fraternity happens to be a music fraternity, and we had a really engaging national member officer, and he was really big into esoterics, and making as many connections between music and this idea of hidden knowledge that was out there, and he gave us. There was this conference that we were at, and he spoke to us for a number of hours, And basically, by by the end of the conference, by the end of the evening, we all went out and had dinner, and we were talking. And he said, "Look, if you're interested in this stuff, you need to know that there's more out there." And then he began to explain to me what Freemasonry was, and sort of a loose connection between the two groups. And I was hooked at that point, and that was, I want to say, 2001.
Wow.
That happened.
Wow,
So
you came into the lodge in 2014, right?
So 2014, and then and the reason is that although I knew it was there and available at any time, it wasn't the right time, and it happened to be that it came out that it was the right time. My wife was, starting her master's degree, and I was between jobs, and and I had, as it turned out, I had somebody that was close friend of the family that was a member of our lodge. Said, "Why don't you go out and check out our lodge?" And I did, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I never researched any lodge. Yeah. Like, for example, there's another lodge that's much closer to my house.
Yeah,
sure
is.
And I didn't even care to research that at all, because
you just felt so at home,
and it felt very comfortable, and it was the same atmosphere, Andrew, that you described. The catalyst that really propelled me was a very dear friend of mine. He and I were both in that collegiate fraternity. He was being reinstalled as Worshipful Master.
Which is the
most terrifying sentence in the English language, right?
I was Worshipful Master twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
So, consecutive.
The next question is, why?
Sorry.
Or consecutive.
But I'll tell you, he invited me, and I came to what we know to be an open installation, and I was just hooked. And it's probably very average. I mean, everybody did a wonderful job. The floor work was great. All the lectures were great. But I was hooked. Yeah. That was it. That was enough. And that put me over. And I turned in a petition, and it started the whole path. So from the moment that I walked in the lodge, this is a different timeline. It was January 2014.
Right. 14?
2014.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you said.
I came in October 2014.
October 2013 you came in.
No, I came in October 2014.
October comes before January.
I know I came in October 2014.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so I know you're wrong, but we're going to go back.
All right.
So no, but here's what it is. So, like, for me, I was not made a Master Mason until June of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that degree I did with Andrew.
First of our
Right,
class.
So I was made a Master Mason June 2015. So
Right.
I started coming in on 2014 October.
So wait a minute. So your first degree was in February, and
Yeah.
you were done in June?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think it was
So
like
maybe I
January,
lost.
February,
that was me
March.
too.
How much hockey did
You
we
were-
watch?
I don't know. I don't know how much hockey did we watch. I don't know.
Not much, apparently.
Or a whole year's worth of hockey is the point.
Completely
Right?
gone.
All right.
A whole season's worth of hockey.
So
No sports.
right. So
There were a lot of baskets.
yeah.
Jesus.
All the touchdowns.
Both of you.
Yes. Go sports
We watched-
ball.
We just lost everyone right now.
That's right. So by the time, from the time that I walked in the lodge, which was January, and the time that I became a Master Mason was a year and a half.
Wow.
So from January, it would have been, see, I'm not great at math. It would have been January 2015. I stand corrected, to June 2016.
So it was close.
And I loved that it included that much time,
Yes.
because I got to learn about people that are in our lodge. I got to learn what they did for a living. I got to learn, about them and their family and them with Freemasonry. I learned their names, which is for me was a huge thing that I've always been terrible with. I mean, the fact that we've got name tags, that's a big help. But
I'm horrible with
it's a big
names.
help. But I'm dreadful with names, and I kind of made this little promise to myself that I was not going to do that with this new thing. So for me, the draw to Freemasonry was always esoterica, and ritual work and things like that.
I'm a fan.
But I will say that an added benefit is to see people in different walks of life, to see people who do things very different from me, who have different viewpoints, who have, they're in different stages of life and all of that stuff. It's just absolutely invaluable.
Well, it's very comforting to see people from different walks of life and different backgrounds, different ideas and thoughts coming together in one building, essentially for one cause.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent sentiment.
Just one little caveat, or not really a caveat, but 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. Kevin, through his college fraternity, is a brother with one of the hosts of TMR.
That's correct.
So, which was interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah,
He's a brother.
Yeah, he's a double.
That's right,
He's
we're
a
double brothers.
He's brother squared. Which was interesting because he, like I explained to you guys before, we went to the 300th anniversary of Freemasonry, and there were certain words and phrases that he can only speak to that because of that fraternity. So it was just
super secret.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to my friend over here.
Yeah, exactly. This guy weird.
Excuse me. Move it in.
So I think that's a good note to go out on how all of us got hooked, so to speak.
Yeah.
So once again, for Brother Kevin Carter, special guest Worshipful brother Peter De Lucia, and Brother Billy Bobo, I am Andrew Zatello, and this has been the Extended Branch.
Good night.